Specifically, the Bureau of Labor Statistics (BLS) began collecting employment information via monthly household surveys. The unemployment rate has varied from as low as 1% during World War I to as high as 25% during the Great Depression. Unemployment tends to rise during the recessions and fall during expansions. There is always some unemployment, with persons changing jobs and new entrants to the labor force searching for jobs. This is referred to as frictional unemployment. For this reason, the Federal Reserve targets the natural rate of unemployment or NAIRU, which was around 5% in 2015. A rate of unemployment below this level would be consistent with rising inflation in theory.
The data shows the number of persons in US labor force and number employed. The gap is the number unemployed, which peaked at 15.4 million in October 2009 and fell to 7.4 million by November 2016.
Hi, I'm Addina with RUSHAIDI. I will explain about the results on multiple linear regression. So let's start.
Multiple linear regression. The relationship between unemployment rate and macroeconomic variables in United States. From the regression line, we found that the formula of y is equal to 35.4172 minus pi 0.2874 x1 plus 0.1730 x2 minus 3.3321 x3, whereby the y is unemployment rate, x1 is inflation rate, x2 is money supply, and x3 is the loan GDP. The y is dependent variables, while the x is independent variables. The summary statistic: multiple r is equal to 0.5754, which is more than 0, so it indicates there is a positive correlation between the dependent variables and independent variables. The r squared is equal to 0.3311, which is 33.11% of variation in unemployment rate in the United States is explained by the inflation rate, money supply, and gross domestic products. The adjusted r squared, this would be beneficial to compare with the present model with other models that incorporated more explanatory variables. The standard error is equal to 2.1174, which is it is a small value, therefore it indicates the data is close with the regression line.
Next, we move to the ANOVA results. For the H0, the significant f is equal to 0, which is the independent variables has no effect on the dependent variables. For the H1, the significant f is different with 0, which is it indicates the independent variables explains variation in the dependent variables. From the results, we can see that the f-test is equal to 0.0054, which is less than 0.05. So, the H0 is rejected. Therefore, it is conclusive that at least one slope is statistically different from 0. For the t-test, the H0 is population slope coefficient is equal to 0, while the H1 population slope coefficient is different from 0. On the coefficients, the money supplies has the largest impact of unemployment rate. From the p-value, the p-value of money supply and GDP is less than 0.05. This indicates both variables have significant relationship with unemployment rate. However, the p-value of inflation rate is more than 0.05. This variable does not have significant relationship with unemployment rate.
Next, we move to the confidence interval. For the unemployment rate data, it can be concluded that the true intercept and slopes lies between 9.1569 and 61.6777, while for the inflation rate, it lies between negative 1.0106 and 0.4358. For the money supplies, it lies between between 0.0779 and 0.2682. And lastly, for the GDP, it lies between 5.9306 and negative 0.7336,
Respectively at
alpha 5% level of significance.
is residual output. Basically, residual is equal to actual y value minus predicted y value. While for the standard residual, residual is divided by standard deviation. Rule of thumb, standard residuals outside of plus minus 2 or plus minus 3 are potential outliers. Based on the table, we can see there are some of outliers there.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I am NABIHAH. So in this video, I will explain about multicollinearity and model development. For the multicollinearity occurs when there are strong correlation among the independent variables and they can predict each other better than the dependent variable. In addition, correlation exceeding plus minus 7% may indicate multicollinearity. For United States data, we assume there is no multicollinearity which is above positive 7%. In Model 1, the squared value indicates that 33.11% of the variation in the unemployment, which is dependent variable, is explained by the independent variables. This also indicates that 66.89% of the variation is explained by other variables. In the model, it is evident that money supply has a larger impact on the unemployment as compared to other variables. The test of ANOVA is slightly differ for multiple linear as compared to simple linear. By looking at the p-value of significance, which is less than alpha equal to 5%, thus we reject our null hypothesis. However, in Model 2, the R-squared value indicates that 31.69% of the variation in the unemployment is explained by the independent variables. This also indicates that 68.31% of the variation is explained by others. In the model, it is evident that money supply has a larger impact on the unemployment as compared to others when we delete the inflation. The test of ANOVA is slightly differ for multiple linear as compared to simple linear. By looking at the p-value of significant f, which is less than alpha equal to 5%, thus we reject our null hypothesis. In conclusion, for the two models, the best model is Model 2 by deleting the inflation. The best adjusted R-square also Model 2. The higher the adjusted R-square, the better for the United States.
Hi, I'm FARAH HAZIQAH. I will explain on the assumption of regressions about the relationship between unemployment rate and macroeconomic variables in the United States of America. So if you want to know what the result will be, you can watch this video until the end. The first assumption is linearity. The assumption of linearity for a relationship between unemployment rate and inflation rate in United States of America have been tested using scatter plot. Based on this scatter plot, it indicates that the inflation rate plot are randomly scattered near the linear trend. Therefore, the equation of linear trend is y equal 13.216 minus 0.1083x and the r squared will be 0.0034. Hence, we can see that this relationship is met the assumptions of linearity. The second relationship is between unemployment rate and money supply in United States of America. It also has been tested using scatter plot. Based on this scatter plot, it shows that there are many supply plots is plotting randomly near the linear trends. Therefore, the equation of linear trend is y equal 4.6884 plus 0.11x with the r squared is 0.1707. So, the conclusions for this relationship is It also met the assumptions of linearity. The third relationship between unemployment rate and gross domestic product in United States of America. After we tested using scatter plot, we see that our GDP plots are randomly scattered near the linear trends. It means this relationship is also made the assumptions of linearity, with the equation of linear trend is y equal 19.037 minus 0.5895x, and with the r squared equal 0.0094. The assumption of normality for relationship between unemployment rate and macroeconomic variables such as inflation rate, money supply, and gross domestic product in United States of America have been tested using the histogram. The standard residual data for this relationship is meet the assumptions of normality. It shows as normality because the data looks like a bell-shaped distribution. The third assumption is homoscedasticity. Based on the inflation rate residual plot, the plot meets the assumptions of homoscedasticity. This is because we can see that the variance around the regression line is almost the same for all values of the predictor variable, which is the x. For the lower values of the x-axis, the points are near the regression line. However, for the higher value on the x-axis, there is much more variability around the regression. However, for the higher value on the x-axis, there is much more variability around the regression line. For the money supply residual plot, the plot does not meet the assumption of homoscedasticity. Based on the diagram, we can see that the scatter plot creates a cone-like shape. As the scatter of the dependent variables widens, it will make the value of the independent variable is increased. This is called as heteroscedasticity. It refers to the circumstance in which the variability of variables is unequal across the range of value of a second variable that predicts it. Next is gross domestic product residual plot. This plot meets assumptions of homoscedasticity. It is same as the inflation rate residual plot. Therefore, we can see that the variance around the regression lines is almost the same for all the values of the predictor variable, which is x. Lastly, for the autocorrelation, it means that the error term for all the independent variables should not be correlated with one another. In order to meet the assumptions of correlation, the value of the Durbin-Watson statistic ratio should be between greater than 1.5 and below 2.5. However, in this case, there is an autocorrelation because the Durbin-Watson statistic ratio value is 0.3861, which is below than 1.5. It means that the three independent variables have correlated with each other. The result for the outliers is there is no outliers between unemployment rate and macroeconomic variables in United States of America because the value is below than 2. In conclusion, based on the multiple linear regression results, we can conclude that all the data are fitted to be used because there is only 30.11% of the independent variables affect the unemployment rates. The other 66.89% are explained by the other macroeconomic variables such as population, foreign direct investments, and recessions. Based on the ANOVA, which is analysis of various results, the F-test is less than 0.05, which is conclude to the independent variable are explained by the independent variables. This slope is different from 0. Therefore, the best regression model is model 2 by dropping the inflation rate. The best adjusted R-squared also model 2, and the higher the adjusted R-squared, it will be the better for the United States. However, after we test the assumptions of regressions, we found that the money supply does not fulfill the assumptions of homoscedasticity, and there is an autocorrelation because the D ratio value is lower than 1.5. It means that the three independent variables have correlated with each other. For the recommendations, we recommend that to the future researcher who want to do the regression analysis of unemployment rate in the United States, they have to find out another independent variable which is not related to the analysis.